so from one black boy to another, guys, there is a statue. Let me paint this picture for you. So there's a statue, right, depicting a black African child with red lips and a leaf skirt holding a club in Stroud, Gloucestershire. The council, which is currently Labour-led, have voted to pursue taking down this statue. However, their sentiments, especially from the town Conservative MP, Siobhan Bailey, something like that. And this is what she says. She says, I oppose the removal of history and statues. To do so serves no purpose other than to allow some people to decide or be selective with history or decide what is most comfortable and causes no offence. I want to time travel real quick to last year, yeah, where Britain was accused for being racist and they did a whole study. Like they did a whole study and it was led by people of colour because obviously optics, and they decided that Britain is not a racist country.
That's the funniest thing I ever heard.
I think because they're comparing it to hell and America. But like, in all honesty, why Britain, as someone who's studied history, history is like the most selective, put wherever you want to put out their thing in the world. Like they choose what they want to teach in the curriculum. So for her to now have this stance when it comes to a statue, why do you want this statue? What is it? Anyway, guys, I want to hear your opinion and then we can flog everybody together.
Well, the statue's been there since 1774.
That's great.
So it's their statue. Why you let them have their statue?
My thing is, yeah, so Akala went to I think Oxford University or Cambridge, and there was a girl who asked, what do you think about white people saying the word nigger? And his response was amazing. Obviously, he used all big words. I'm just going to,
paraphrase.
I'm going to paraphrase for y'all. But he was like, why would you want to? And that's my stance here. Why would you? It's not like this statue is some beautiful, like crazy
it's not
piece of art.
Anything.
For me, do you know what? Like serial killers, how they keep like souvenirs.
Oh yeah, like a
this
toenail.
Is what this feels like to me. A toenail, child. Yeah. But this is what it feels like. It feels like something you wank off to if you give a fuck about if you support this kind of mentality. Yeah. I don't know. That's my point of view. But anyway, I said I was gonna let you guys talk.
I feel like my question is always the same. Like, why do you want that there? I think fair enough you had it like in the 17 whenever. But I feel like time, like you know better now.
What is the relevance of like the image to the place? Like what? Like why is it? Like obviously they made it back in the day.
Like why is it?
Like, what does it? Yeah, what does it represent for them? Like what? Why is the little boy? Like,
I think for them it just represents better days when they could have slaves.
Yeah, I don't.
Because it makes no sense to me.
So one thing that I realized about people, they're not honest with their arguments. But anyway, that's just my take. So let me tell you another reason why people don't think it should be taken down. It is the statue is on a grade 2 listed building and is owned by the trust. The heritage body said taking it down would harm both the significance of the listed building and the character of the conservation area and would also seriously damage the integrity of the clock itself. I feel like you're prioritizing a clock, the cost of the building over the black people that have to walk around and
What's
see
the integrity
this.
of a clock?
Like,
there are black people in Stroud.
I'm sure there's like 4.
Tell them just come to London, man.
I feel like there must be like 4 or 5 or something. My thing is that let's just pretend to be different people in this town. I'm a black person in this town. I feel like if I was a black person in that town, I wouldn't necessarily be overtly offended by it because I've been around. It's something I see all the time.
And
but
that's sad in itself.
That's fucked, innit? But it sets a tone. It lets me know what this town is about. It's like
and
a Confederate flag. Yeah. It lets me know what the sentiments are. If I was an Asian person walking past it, I just feel like the problem is that people of colour don't have like a joint consensus on stuff. Like, do you know what I mean? People have different takes.
The problem is you just act like you're supposed to be here and get all caught up and like this is not even supposed to be here. This ain't even our place. Like, just leave them, let them do what they leave them let them do what they're doing in their yard, man. But like, I understand why people care and get all caught up on all this crap.
That mentality.
If it was like an image of someone like in a noose or something, then I could understand why it would inflame people. But even like the little boy, like it's from a different time ago. And obviously you're saying times have changed. If you want to take it away, I get all that. But I mean,
what black person has red lips and a leaf skirt? I don't understand.
That's how they saw black people. Like that's what
always
I'm saying. Exaggerated.
Right, a caricature.
Yeah, but I think stuff like this is important to see because it's like
it reminds you where you are.
I think you need records of all history just to see these things. You take them away, then future generations won't even see the stuff that they were doing and stuff like that. I think
that's a good point.
I think it's necessary. I think all history and stuff like that, I think it's about. Obviously, if there's things that's really, really pissing people off, like the championing, even that stuff doesn't bother me too much like that. But I get where people are coming from. Like when you got statues up and these people were owned plantations and rare, and you're championing them and that I can understand. Like little images and stuff like this, Because where would you even see something like this anyway? Like if you get, like I'm trying to say, like if you just destroy things and get rid of them, then where do they go?
I was gonna say, I actually kind of agree with that because I think already, there's so much history that's been erased and like muted that normal people wouldn't know unless you do your diggings, like proper diggings. So stuff like that, if they do take it away, I mean, I do think they take it away because I just think, what's the point? But if they do take it away, they're in a way wiping away more history than we'll know, and future generations probably won't even know at some point that slaves existed.
My take is that they're putting a statue where it's condemning it as opposed to putting it on like the crown of a building. Like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're kind of glorifying it.
Like, they're glorifying it. That's my thing. And I hear what you're saying. You and Poet and like a lot of people have the mentality of this is not your home, this is not your country. I think bare of my friends have that mentality. And I think I tap into that mentality sometimes as well. But there are some people who this is the life they know. They're not from London. They're from wherever they are. And they want to feel like they belong where they've lived their entire life. And can I ask a question? And I would like Brent to turn off the cameras for this, but
turn off.
Yeah, well, obviously he won't. Yeah, but like, guys, do you realize that when it comes to fucking about in this kind of way, it's always targeted at us? They would not dare do this to somebody who is of the Jewish faith. Like, and they did at one point. Do you know what I mean? And it was horrendous and it was horrible. But can you imagine today having a statue that had like an offensively, like I think the thing that you like to do when they're trying to offend people who are Jewish is someone with like they'll make a caricature of the nose. Can you imagine that couldn't last 5 seconds? Yeah. That couldn't, and this is not this. A lot of Jewish people will be like, you know, the history or whatever, they'll be like, this is not my land to a degree as well. But it's called a respect for the people that contribute to this country. Yeah. Like whether my great grandfather was born here or not, number one, we didn't get much of a lot of people didn't get much of a choice coming to this country. We've contributed to this country in big ways. You can't look at a part of this country without seeing some influence from another part of the world. Like, don't give me lip service. Show me that you care. And if you don't care, well then let's have an honest conversation. Great.
It's not because they respect them so much. It's because they have control over the situation, so they're not going to disrespect themselves, isn't it? So we don't have no control of the situation over the infrastructure over nothing in the country. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So them things can happen. Whereas it's just like you're not allowed to say anything about Jewish people because they're so high up in infrastructure. If you do, they'll just take you out. So that's what the problem is, isn't it? Yeah. So all these things is about people complaining about things, but the real problem is that we don't have nothing for ourselves, innit? You know what I'm trying to say?
So it's easy to disrespect.
So I don't like when people talk nonsense because it's rubbish. All you need to do is do for yourself, innit? That's the whole reason why I care about the new black. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. This is the reason why I care about the new black, because it's coming back with taking things to our own hands. You know what I'm trying to say? So then we can control the media and stuff like that. And then we can move from a position of power, because sitting down and just talking is just chatting shit. And this is what people do. I don't like it. I prefer actions. You know what I'm trying to say? That's the reason why you can't find no Jewish people anywhere, because Jewish people have power and they're in control. Why would they let you mug them for? You know what I'm trying to say?
I've never been more attracted to Margs than right now. Go on,
I'm just saying, we just need to take some control and some power.
Come on, King. Come on, King.
Sorry, as you know.
Oh, another King has joined the building. Go on.
All I was going to say is, I know Brent wanted me to talk here because I was going to say something along the lines of what Margs just said.
Okay.
You just said it perfectly.
So last week I stole what you had to say, and now Margs.
Exactly. Emman, you're gonna start going first.
I think you got to start jumping in first.
You're gonna start going first, okay?
Guys, we have Emman in the building. He is a very important integral part of the show. You'll be hearing from him a lot because we're going to be pushing him, and we're going to make sure he talks first.
Yes,
from now, our first guest, guys. But you know what? I hate the fact because I'm not trying to argue unnecessarily. I feel like you made a lot of strong points. They're not points. They were points I wish aren't true though. Do you know what I mean? Like they're points that I don't like because
it's reality.
Yeah, we might not. It's so crazy to say that we have so much influence and power, and like when I say influence, like kids from Lincolnshire dress how we say. Do you know what I mean? But we have no power. It makes me feel like we are. Do you ever remember when this news reporter said to LeBron James, she was like, just
sharp
dribble.
and
dribble. It feels like the world is saying that to us, and we kind of are just doing it.
We just be dancing.
But that's the truth is that we're not. Like, we all know people who are like not whether are in the corporate space or law or all these other things, and I don't know what the disconnect is. I don't know what it is, because I do feel like we have power, like I do, but it does feel like it feels superficial. Like we will protest. And then superficial things will happen. Remember, like Black Lives Matter. And then every brand was like, we're gonna put 100,000 million to Black initiatives and that. And it's like, are we not doing something? Are we failing to follow up? Are we like, do we just like the noise? Do we not? Are we not?
Well,
like,
nothing happens after after the gatherings, man. After all the gatherings and you get
Yeah.
all the attention, you make the thing. Nothing happens. There's no steps. There's never like no points, no plans to say, okay, cool, we're gonna go and we're gonna do this or we're gonna do that, or the money that you are gonna give us and we're gonna raise, we're gonna take it and put it here. There's never any plan. People
And
are just
and I feel like we don't hold people accountable. I feel like we make noise in the moment and then like we just move on. And we don't hold people accountable. So
as somebody who worked
can't take
in
it seriously.
advertising for a really long time, I just feel like people of like all these brands are very aware of the reality of things. Do you know, like there's brands that just know, guys, they're gonna make noise for about 2 weeks, but then after that,
That's how the meetings go.
like literally, it's how the meetings go.
It's gonna pass over. Don't worry about it.
It's literally how the meetings go, and I just feel like we need to shock them with a little bit more consistency.
We do that. This is why I'm really like, I'm against like the cancel culture and all that kind of stuff, because we just make noise about things. There's never any follow up. There's never any follow up to anything. We just make noise about the thing in the moment, and then after that, everyone just carries on and they wait for the next thing to get outraged about. Then we do it again. And
with something like that, it's because they don't want any closure. They don't want. With that, people are just usually going for blood. Like they just want
They want your head.
Yeah, it's senseless. They don't want any.
It's
closure.
crazy.
It feels emotion led rather than feature focused.
Yeah, it is emotion led.
But then my thing is then leadership. Okay, let me ask you a question. In this country, in terms of Black people, who do you think provides leadership? Do you think there's anyone that provides leadership?
In what regard?
Like, if something,
has to go
if
first.
something was happening, we planned that. If something was happening in this country, right? Like, say there was some mad fuckery. I mean, we've experienced fuckery, but let's just
who
say,
can be our spokesperson?
like as a collective, right? Because you know in America, there's that guy with the hair that's a civil rights.
Sharpton.
Yeah, there's people that you just know jump to the pulpit when things happen, right? In this country, this is Skepta. No, I'm sorry. In this country, who is it? Who is it? Like, who is our person? Like, and do we have a person? Do we need a person?
I was just about to say to you, do you think we need that though? Why? Because why do we need that?
Because I think when we're having conversations outside of our community, we can't all be. Imagine if we're all talking to Brent, but all of us were talking at the same time.
Yeah.
Brent isn't hearing anything. But if we all just said, you know what, Qoy, this feels like you'll be able to handle this one. Talk to Brent. Then Brent we can have a conversation. I think sometimes it's such a cacophony of sounds, so many different. We're not even aligned. I'm not saying we have to be aligned, but sometimes power in numbers, right? I think we do need, when we're talking to the community outside our own, I do think we need a trusted voice that we fuck with. It puts a lot of pressure on them.
Do you know what though?
Sorry.
No, you might have to go first.
Iman, go.
I was just going to say,
Ladies first. Go,
do you
go,
think
go.
you get that type of representation in different political parties? So you've got Black Conservatives, you've got Black Labour MPs as well.
I think the problem...
And is that enough?
Yeah, so I would say no. And I don't want to like shit on these people that have like done 4,000 law degrees and stuff like that. But the connection between... And I don't think it's their fault. I think we don't have a behavioural pattern that leads for us to go and talk to them. Like in my head, if something goes wrong in my life, the MP, I couldn't even tell you where MP, probably underneath my dad, like in terms of people I'm going to talk to about a problem, like, yeah, I just don't think I have it in me to go and think of them first. And I think that's a problem. Like, it might not be them, because if you talk to MP, they will tell you that they go to door every Thursday. They will tell you they reach out to people, but I don't know if we as a people see them as somebody who can actually help.
I'll be honest, I feel like we can't. I feel like if we had one person, it'd be good, but it'd be a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah.
But I also think as well, something that I've noticed with the Black community, and don't fight me because I know you all like to tussle, but I think that even if we did have someone, if that person, because you know, with issues like this, right, you can't act on emotions. You have to sit down, think about it, respond.
Yeah.
And I feel like that person, if that person did not give outrage or display the same emotion that the public are displaying in that moment, and they're not on Twitter Spaces and doing all these things, people are going to call the person that we want to move forward and talk to us. They're going to want to cancel that person.
They'll kill
Yeah.
him.
Now the focus and shift is going to change from the issue at hand to how now you're a coon and you're a sellout.
Yeah.
So I feel like what we need is probably like a group of people.
Okay.
Yes.
Not me. I'll support whoever it is.
You'll stay safe though. But yeah,
you'll be good.
I
but
don't mind if it's more
that.
than one person.
But I think also though, is that I personally think anyone would want to come forward because of how
it would be
we
hard
fight. We really be playing ourselves.
But look at the difference compared to America. Yeah, America, African Americans have been there for like 400-500 years. Yeah, essentially they're one ethnic group.
Yeah.
That's not the same with black people here.
Yes.
So how do you get one person to represent so many people?
okay,
See,
so-
that's the thing though. Do we even need it though? Because obviously we compare
We need
ourselves to the
something.
African Americans, but we haven't. The plight that we go through over here has not been the same, innit?
Oh,
You know
yeah,
what I'm
but
trying to say?
I don't think
Even
we
down
want
to the way we treated in the country. You're not saying like it's not.
It's not as bad. Yeah.
It's not as
but
bad
it's
as
just
them,
Yeah.
it's just not the same, innit?
Mm.
So, is there that need? Is there that void for like black leadership? Because do black people as a culture feel like they need it over here because they're not being so oppressed like that? Like I feel like personally, especially in this country, it's like the class. It's the class system's more thing than the race. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
And more important than the race.
Like
It's a bigger
more of an
like,
issue. Yeah.
Almost it like
I don't know.
they lump us all in together, and it's just like in this country, it's like your class is more important. Like the people in the States know that are the people in the States. It's not just black people,
It's
it's
not
like
like-
white people, it's Indian people. We're all bunched in.
So
That's
you're more
why.
defined by your
Yeah,
class
with the
than your
culture,
race.
that's why it is like that, and that's why kids who you saying from Lincolnshire can see our thing because they see London little white youths moving like that as well, but they don't know any difference. You're raised in the estate with us. You're in the estate with us. It doesn't matter what color you are.
Do you know what I think
To a
we should do?
degree.
Yeah?
To a degree.
Is what you even said earlier, is that everyone do for yourselves. Or like I think we as a community need to work with each other better. I think we should do that, and then I think that's how we'll get power.
What, by working on ourselves?
Like no, but working on ourselves and working together,
Yeah, no.
and I think that we'll get power. That would then. I don't think we need a spokesperson. I don't see anyone.
my thing with the spokesperson thing, right, is we're not very good at talking to one another within this community. I'm sure other communities.
Well, like black community.
Yeah, the black
and
community.
that's the first problem.
And I think we're also very quick to throw stones. Like we'll talk about it, but like I think we throw stones at people knowing we do it ourselves.
Yep.
And it's a sign of madness in my mind.
It's not a sign.
But
It is.
what's our plight that ties us all together? Like what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like
So
what's our
that's-
plight that we go
so
through that
that's
ties us all together? That me, you, and you like all connect
Yeah.
with that
And
we're all going through. Because what is it? Is that there's not? It
Yeah,
doesn't exist, does
and
it?
I think you're absolutely. I think you're right on that, and I'm not even going to try and blag an answer because that's not helpful. I think you're absolutely right on that, but I think when you said earlier that we're not as bad as America, I'm like, I don't ever want to be as bad as America. I don't think being better than what Americans are going through means that we don't have a plight. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't want us to have to wait till we're being shot. Our sons and daughters can't wear hoodies before we talk. But I do feel like there is a general like feeling of discontent amongst black people in this country. And I think people's responses are always, they feel victim blamey-ish. Like, for instance, well, then go back to your country. And that's not just coming from white people. Other black people will be like, bro, go back to Africa then if it's such. It feels like over time, there's more differences between us. Like there's more ways in which we're less identifying as a community because it comes with too much. Like, you're right, me and Margs have very different experiences in this country. So maybe it is too much of a simplification to be like, well, but we're both black and it's both hard for both of us. Margs is like, but you ain't been on the roads. I'm like,
Well,
oh, you ain't experienced what I experienced in the education system. Do you know what I mean? Like, but my thing is that I don't think I can say that just for myself and make any noise. I think sometimes it is about being strategic and saying, all right, we have different struggles, but we need numbers. Because that's any underrepresented group. The only way to make noise, whether it's the LGBTQ community, whatever, is numbers. Until you get into a position of power, then you can just be yourself.
Yeah, we just need infrastructure. I think like what you just said, that everyone should just go home. Or if you're not even going to go home.
I didn't say that. I didn't say
That's the opposite of what she just said.
I didn't say
She said band together. He said everybody go home.
Everybody go home
He said
together.
call it a night.
Or even if you're not going to go home, build
If
up
you
home.
went
I think
home, would
everybody
they
here,
receive
yeah. Huh?
If you went home, would they receive you? Like, would you be one of you're Jamaican, right?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. Would they say like Margs is home, or would they be like, look at this British guy? Because a lot of Nigerians say when they go back to Nigeria, there is a little bit of a thing where
I'll be honest, I just came back from there and I said I can't live there. So, Pretty Patel, if you're listening, girl,
I'm sorry.
keep me here.
Yeah, I don't care whether they accept me or not. You should build a place up. It's not about that. Even if you don't want to live there, I think everyone should just make money and send. I think everyone should just go and build up Africa and Caribbean. That's what I think. That's what I think people should just be doing.
Shout out every artist that's gone back and built apartments and stuff. And shout out Fecky for no reason.
That's what we should
But
be
you know what,
doing.
though, even
Though,
with that,
seriously.
You look
there's
fantastic
issues
feeding
with
the
that.
chickens.
Why though?
Because people go back home. A lot of people that live here go back home and they oppress people back home
100%.
as they were oppressed here. So even
100%.
with that, there's a lot of issues. Like just on
Have you
this
seen
trip
how
alone,
African Americans talk about Africans?
Mhm.
Have you seen how African Americans talk about Africans?
Yeah, but
As
they
in-
don't know any better though.
No, but
That's
even,
from
no, but even
ignorance.
people. Is that
African Americans
see-
are African Americans not even a thing. Like they're
No, but
crazy.
wow.
Like it's not their fault.
Cancel
No,
for
it's
week.
not-
Okay, cancel
it is.
for
We
week
gotta
number
record
3.
tomorrow,
No,
please.
Look, it's
cancel
not-
again.
look, it's not their
Fucking men
fault.
keep-
It's
It's
not.
the men.
It's the men.
It's not their fault. Like
Send
it's
us
not.
pics.
It's not their
See.
fault. They like you said, they've been there for
No, but
400
no, but you know what
years.
it
It's
is,
not their
though?
fault.
No, but do you know what is even in simple things like when people go back home for December and stuff,
Yeah.
the locals complain. Like the
Yes.
locals are on Twitter complaining
We-
about the way people go on there. And
We
think
are
they're
the
better
white
than
people of
them.
Yeah, but
Benidorm.
because
we
you're gonna go-
are. We are the.
We are Benidorm. Like, you know when white
It's
people go
mad.
to Benidorm and they just like fuck up the whole place. Yeah?
Yeah,
There's
so
a
the
there's a
locals are gonna feel like
complex.
that because you are gonna go home and we
Yeah.
gotta deal with the mess. Like they're gonna feel that. That's
No, but,
understandable.
no, but
No.
they feel like that because you're not coming. You're not coming back home and feeding into the economy. And all that. You're coming back home and you're trying to oppress them because you think you're better than them because
But
you
if-
come from a Western
But
society.
if you're spending, you are feeling into the economy.
No, you are though. But the thing
Okay,
is, when you're
but-
oppressing the people, they want you to go. Don't feed into the economy. Let's just stay poor. If you're gonna come here and oppress us
You
and,
don't-
and make us feel like you're better than us because you come from a
but
Western
oppress
society,
us, oppress them how?
in the way they speak to them, in the way they treat them, in
Nigeria-
just the way they like interact with like the community, the locals and stuff. It's terrible.
Nigeria
It's really
is very
bad.
big on like on culture. I'm not saying other countries aren't. I'm just saying very big on culture. As in, like if somebody's older than you, unless you're flogging them with money, there needs to be a level of respect. And I think that is very much watered down in our culture.
Yeah.
Like bare of us are now don't kneel down. I'm not saying that's wrong. You do what's right for you, but bare of us don't kneel down. There in their land, it doesn't matter if who you are. Like you kneel down, you show respect. If we're coming to just flog and party, we might not be doing those things, and that is really disrespectful to them. I remember one time touching, like I remember one time like I patted the head of a pastor in my church.
Oh, girl.
I did it. I was 7. I was like, we were just joking and like little just whatever. And I remember I was like, oh, you're good uncle or something like that, right? Just to pat him on the head. The way that the whole church
Silence.
fell down, as if I had just. It's like you don't touch somebody on their head. Full stop.
Yeah,
You don't touch
somebody
an
on the head.
elder, and you definitely don't touch a man who they think is the direct messenger to God on their head,
Yeah, that's
right?
wild.
And I was like 7, but like that is even though like there was every logical understanding that I was a child and that I literally didn't know.
Yeah,
There
But
was
it's-
still
yeah,
there was
it's
still a
cultural
reaction.
stuff,
So
yeah.
even if you're coming from England and you go to Nigeria and you're just doing you, it's kind of like and the things that when we acknowledge that when we go to other countries other than Africa, if I was to go to Thailand or whatever, I wouldn't go into their religious buildings with no shoes on. Like it's like, but we're less sensitive when it's our own because I guess we feel familiarity.
Look, I feel like we got a superiority complex,
and
when it's us.
they assume that of us, so they come with their energy as well. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a clash.
It's West Coast.
Does that happen in Jamaica?
I've only been
Have
to
you been to
Jamaica
Jamaica?
once.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they'll take you
How old
back,
are you?
Margs. Like,
Old enough. I don't care. They can't do nothing. I got money.
Cheers.
No, that's it then.
But you know
It's
what?
class all over the world.
Margs
The class
actually-
system is more important, yeah. And if I go to Jamaica, I'd probably be like upper class.
someone said that about
So
France as well.
I'll be fine, okay.
I said I'll be a monarch.
They're gonna have statues of me, okay?
Black boy, Margs. Alright, cool. No problem at all, guys.
Ah,
I want
damn.
to find out more about what you guys are on. So let's jump into.